Hey, YouTube. Well, y'all see this woman, Andrea Kelly, on The View? Andrea Kelly. We know she was married to R. Kelly. She was talking about the abuse she suffered in his hands, right? So it brings up an interesting subject to me. And of course, I believe every word of what she said. I'm from the kind of background. My earliest memories are of this extreme domestic violence. You know, people, when they talk about black people, we evaluate ourselves. We say what the big problem is all these single mothers. They say that 3/4 of the black women are single. A lot of times you see these churches where all they talk about is marriage, but most of the people are single. And they blame the women. Why you get all these babies and no husband? Make the marriage work. You got to stand behind your man and all this bullshit. There's a there's a reason why a lot of these women are single. It ain't because they didn't want to make their marriages work. Many of them have tried to make their marriages work. But how you gonna make a marriage work when a man just busted a beer bottle over your head? They blame the women for being single, for being single parents, their inability to hold a marriage, a man. Many times, they have no choice but to be single. You get married with the best of intentions. You think, oh, this man's going to love me forever. I'm going to make this marriage work no matter what. And then he starts knocking your ass around. What are you supposed to do? And people who don't know nothing about your life, nothing about your relationship, they'll come in and say, well, why didn't you work harder? You should have fixed yourself up better. Not even considering what kind of man she was married to. That's why I believe that people should live together first. Maybe it ain't in the Bible from 6,000 years ago. I think people should live together. You should know who you're committing to in a marriage. Before you sign papers and all this, you ought to know what the hell you getting involved in. So I'm an advocate for people living together before marriage. Couple years. You never know a person till you live with them, right? Yes, it's a tragic thing when people start having babies. They have babies, and now they're tied to these people who are abusing them. Men who can't keep their weenie in their pants. You done married this man, he's out there screwing everybody in the neighborhood, bringing whatever back to the house. What are you supposed to do? So I don't think it's always the woman's fault. I think the woman is the one that stays. The woman is the reason why we're still here. He generally takes off or is so abusive that you can't stay with him. If you know a man is treating a woman like that, she has no choice but to leave or die or become some whipped puppy or punching bag for him. So it's not the failure of the woman. I don't see it that way at all. I think many times it is the failure of the male she got involved with. He many times doesn't even know what being a husband is. He's not familiar because he never had one in his own house. He is from a single parent family. There's got to be some reason why there's so many single parents in the black community. It's got not don't just say it exists. Why does it exist? What are the circumstances? If you walk into some of these households, first thing you say, you was just able to be invisible and observe what goes on in some of these households. First thing you would say is, why in the hell is she there? So my situation, I was from that kind of household. This man was beating my mother. My earliest memories are of violence, being afraid. Yeah, so people say, oh, you're from a single parent home. Oh, that's terrible. That's all. I cannot remember a greater day in my youth than when that dude moved out of our house. Unfortunately, my mother got hooked up with another man. Just not quite as bad, but bad. It can't keep their hands to itself. To me, first time you put your hands on me, that's it. I won't give a damn if you are the victor or the victim. First time you raise your hands to me, that's it. There's no relationship. There's nothing. I'm not going to invest in that. So I can't hold it against women for leaving these relationships or these marriages. What else can they do? She shouldn't have all them babies. She had the babies thinking she was in a marriage. Many, many, many times. And a lot of times they will discover what this dude is before they get married. You see that a man is violent, can't keep his hands to himself. He's stressed, frustrated by his assignment to be a black man in this earth. It is hard many times. A lot of the challenges in life, they're unusual. They're unusual challenges, exclusive to black manhood. I mean, it's just difficult many times to provide for a family, particularly when you don't know what providing for a family means, the sacrifice that it means to be in a relationship. So I believe this woman, what she described in her relationship, why she left, what her motives are for coming forward. Hell, she probably wants people to know. You know, yeah, they hurt, they're damaged. People are damaged by these fucked up relationships they get involved in. And many times, their children are there. They had babies when they thought they were getting into marriage. So, Andrea Kelly, I don't know, I'm surprised she even came for it. I'd be scared the hell of this dude. She would be scared of him. But she found some balls. She found a way to protect herself. And she wants people to know what she went through. I don't think there's anything wrong with telling the story. And it is the truth. I know it's the truth. The way she described it reeks of being the truth. This dude is a woman abuser. And he got this attraction to young girls whose minds can be manipulated, young girls who can be controlled. R. Kelly. He ain't the only one. He ain't the only one, honey. I met a lot of dudes in prison, and I was amazed at some of the attitudes about spousal abuse and how many of them were in there for that reason. So they go in there and they hollering and screaming in the churches about, oh, you need a man. You got to make the marriage work. Stay no matter what. Stick and stay. This marriage will never dissolve. You got to stand by your man. All that bullshit. Close the door on the honeymoon suite and this nigga start knocking you around that room. You're in a dilemma. Sad. Sad as happened to our family. Mother, eventually she just decided just to be alone was easier. It was certainly easier on me as a child, as a 6, 7, 8-year-old child. It was a great thing when she finally walked away from that relationship. And I used to wonder every time he beat her up, why is she staying in this? Why? My mother, she did run. She'd run and he'd find her, and she'd run and he'd find her. This is a horrible situation for young kids to have to go through. All you can do is cry. And the damn thing you can do against a grown man attacking your mother right in your face. So this interview brought back some of those memories, and they were horrible. And I think it's a big part of why so many African American women are single. I'm sure they didn't plan to be single mothers. There are other circumstances, of course. People just want to have baby mamas. They want to have children. Somebody to love them forever. And a lot of times that's where you're going to get your love is from your own child. So I can understand you wanting to have children. I can understand you trying to make these relationships work. I can understand that many times the one who is fathered your children, he ain't worth a shit. He's not worth 2 dead flies, and you don't find out until after you've already had the babies. So glad this woman found the strength to get out of abusive relationships. I think women, if you're being abused by anybody, get out. It's damaging to your mind, to your mental state. You're going to come out with scars. Best thing to do is get out of it. No matter what the preachers say, oh, your life is man, supposed to be with woman, and all this old stuff. If a person is abusing you, get the hell out of there. That's all I can say. I'd much rather have no father at all than to have one who I cannot respect, who is making me afraid. Children should not grow up in fear. And many times that violence that he puts on his wife will transfer to her abusing the children. I know it to be true. There are reasons. Given the choice, it's better to be single. And I'd say if you're going to talk about living your whole life with somebody, know who they are. So I would say live with them first. It's not a popular idea, perhaps. Why should he marry the cow and already get the milk for free? All that old stuff, the old ideas. Know this Negro before you move in with him. You're going to be stuck with all these babies and him gone. People, when they see what you go through in your house, if they were actually being able to see it, put it on TV, broadcast it, you would say, of course she's got to get out of there. That woman's going to end up dead. It's bad memory. Yes, she's telling the truth. Women beware. And being single is not the worst thing in the world. It ain't the worst thing in the world, honey. Don't strap yourself down to somebody you don't know and have to find out while you're married to him. All right, people. Just observe that. Watch the woman, Andrea Kelly. She's talking about her husband, R. Kelly, who has got, spousal abuse is only one of the charges against him. His thing is they call him a child molester because he likes young girls. When they interview the young girl, they say, oh, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Brainwashed. It's a young manipulative mind that he can manipulate. I hope he doesn't have women in his life, young girls in his life. You know, a fully developed mind. Because there are consequences. There are consequences. There are things that will stick to you from that abuse that will last you for a lifetime. Run for the hills, honey. All right.